Hi there, smart drivers. Talking to you tonight about 8 reasons that you could potentially fail your driver's test. Today, we're going to give you that information and the skills, abilities, and techniques to pass your driver's test first time. That's what we're talking about today. All right, 8 reasons that you could potentially fail a driver's test. First impressions, and this is what I was talking to you about Jamil. Okay, if you have tape on your taillights that's holding it together because it's cracked or broken, I would strongly encourage you to get that fixed before you show up for your driver's test, because the examiner comes out, they do a pre-trip inspection on your vehicle, they check to see if the plates are in place, there's any body damage, the glass isn't cracked, chipped, or broken, they check your signals, your brake lights, they check to see if the door is working on the passenger side, the seatbelt, those types of things. So if all of that happens, they're looking at your vehicle and there's tape on the brake light and they're like, what else have you jimmied on this vehicle that maybe it's not safe and I don't really feel like going out in it. So you don't get a second chance to make a first impression on your driver's test. So know that in preparation for going down for your driver's test. Okay, pass your driver's test first time course package over at the Smart Drive Test website is on sale. $37. You can get the information, the techniques, and skills you need to pass your driver's test first time. In addition, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses to keep you safe after you get your license and significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. The first reason number 8, not the first reason number 8 that you will potentially fail your driver's test is you do not have good control of the primary controls. You are not smooth with the steering wheel, the accelerator, and the brake. And if you're taking it in a manual car, as many of you will be in Europe, you don't have control of the clutch. Your turns are too wide, you wander in your lanes, you're not centered, and you do not have due care and control of the vehicle. This is reason number 8 for why you would potentially fail a driver's test. Reason number 7, lane positioning. Yes, when you make a left turn on a multi-lane road, you have to move back to the right lane. The examiner will not tell you this. When turning on multi-lane roads, left lane to left lane, right lane to right lane, okay? Merging, shoulder checking, and moving the vehicle laterally. This is challenging for new drivers and those learning to drive, changing lanes and moving the vehicle laterally. And you need to shoulder check. You need to move your head while you're driving. Communicating effectively, stopping for emergency vehicles, as Marion learned this morning with fire trucks in your road and whatnot. Reason number 6, you're being too cautious. You are being too namby-pamby when you're driving. You think that you are being safer by driving slower and not going when the gap presents itself. Nothing could be farther from the truth. It is just as dangerous to drive too slow and be unpredictable than it is to speed and be aggressive when you're driving. Observation. The number 1 mistake on a driver's test is not shoulder checking. Shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking. Not shoulder checking is to driving what not checking to see if a weapon is loaded is to gun safety. And if you don't know what that latter part is, look up Alec Baldwin and find out that, it can be dangerous not to check and see if a weapon is loaded. Observation. Your observation pattern, your scanning pattern rather, looking far down the road, checking your instrument panel, far down the road, checking the center mirror, far down the road, checking your side mirrors, looking out through the back window via the center mirror, and checking your mirrors on a regular basis. And your scanning pattern is tied into your observation. So if you're not adjusting your speed every 15 to 20 seconds, that is telling the driving examiner that you are not observing correctly and monitoring your speed and whatnot. Road signs, action contrary to a road sign, failing to adjust speeds according to changing speed limits in the city or where you're driving, lane ends and not merging correctly, not knowing the difference between two-way stop signs, four-way stop signs. Speeding in a school zone is an automatic fail on a driver's test. Crossing over white lines is prohibited and you will get points, minor points, for that, which is 5-10 points. If you are crossing over solid white lines in North America, that could be the difference between passing and failing. Railway crossings in the United States of America, these are regulatory signs, which says that you must obey these, okay? So take note of the signs. Practice in and around the test center at the time that you're going to be taking your driver's test. For example, if your driving test is at 10 a.m. on Thursday, make sure that you're practicing during the week at 10 a.m. to simulate the traffic that you're going to be faced with on the day of your driver's test. Number three, the third reason why you will fail a driver's test, as I said, striking a fixed object, hitting a pylon, striking the concrete barrier behind the parking spot where you're backing into. Slow speed maneuvers, California backing along a curb for approximately 50 feet. Oregon will also do this, backing along a curb for 50 feet. There's only 3 states in the U.S. that I know of that do not do parallel parking on a driver's test. That is California, Ohio, and Maryland. Every other state, as far as I know, does parallel parking. Nobody's come back here and said to me, oh, nobody does that. Okay? Parking, 3-point turns. So for every other state in the U.S. other than Maryland, California, and Ohio, and in Canada, the 3 maneuvers that you are required to do: parallel parking, 3-point turn, and backing into a parking space. Be ready with those 3 maneuvers for the purposes of your driver's test. Dangerous action: blocking an intersection you cannot clear when proceeding through in a straightforward motion. Backing up at an intersection. If you come up to a yellow light, for example, and you slam on the brakes and you get the vehicle stopped and you're sitting across the crosswalk, don't back up. Okay, that's the worst thing you can do on a driver's test. Do not back up. The examiner intervenes. They take control of the steering wheel. They verbally tell you to stop. Then that will be an automatic fail in your driver's test. Insufficient gap. If another road user has to take evasive action to avoid you during your test, you will fail. Okay, so these are the reasons that you will potentially fail your driver's test. Reason number 1 is that you do not know what's on the driver's test. You have not practiced in and around the driving test center. Okay, parallel parking for cones, for example. Now, know that you can go into the test center after hours and on weekends and you can practice. Okay, oftentimes the test center will leave the cones set up for you that you can go in and do your parallel parking there, or wherever they have it set up in the test center. And you can back into the parking spaces at the test center because they might be a little bit different than what you're practicing elsewhere. For example, the test center in Victoria on Vancouver Island, where I used to take students to get tested, the parking spaces were on a slope. So you had to use the accelerator to actually get the vehicle to move backwards. And believe me, it is very different trying to back into a parking space that you have to back in on a hill than it is when it's flat. Okay, it's going to be a very different experience. So practice in and around the test center where you're going to be taking your test. Where are the schools for when school is in session? School is not in session right now, so school speed zones do not apply currently unless there are signs saying that summer school is in session and that speed zones apply. Otherwise, they don't apply. If you're unsure about any of this, hire a local driving instructor. He or she will take you out on a test. They will take you on the test route, and they will take you to the place where the driving examiners do the slow speed maneuvers, because there's only a few places that they can do those out on the roadways. They want to take you to a low density traffic area so that you can safely execute your maneuvers out on the roadway when you're doing your driver's test. So consider the Pass Your Driver's Test First Time course package over at the Smart Drive Test website. As I said, as a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses, and Corey will put that link up for you. Check that out over there. Good luck on your driver's test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. The number 1 reason that you will not be successful on your driver's test is because you don't know what is on the test. You don't know that they parallel park between cones at the test center. You don't know that you have to show up and just queue up on the side of the road if you're taking your driver's test in New York City. You don't know that the test is going to take 8 to 10 minutes or whether the test is going to be 20 to 40 minutes, depending on which location you're in. It can vary depending on where you are in the United States of America or where you are here in Canada about how long the test is going to be. If you're in the large metropolitan cities, the duration of the test is only going to be 5 to 8 minutes, maybe 12. If you're in the smaller centers, Duluth, Minnesota, West Virginia, places like that, yes, I know they have big cities in West Virginia, but if you're in the smaller outlying areas, it's going to be a longer test because they're not as busy, so they're going to be doing longer tests. It may be up to 30 minutes. Eric, tuning in from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hello, my friend. Roboto, first license, exactly. Awesome. So we can help you with all of that. And Zia, tuning in from Langley, British Columbia. Hello, my friend. So driver's license test. I know it's anxious. I know it's nervous. We're going to do a walkthrough on exactly what to expect on test day. If you're taking your own vehicle, if you're taking a driving school vehicle, be sure that you do a pre-trip inspection on the vehicle. Usually instructors will take and do a pre-trip inspection before they take you down for the driver's test. If you're using your own vehicle, be sure that you do a pre-trip inspection. You clean it out, get all the fast food wrappers out of the footwells and those types of things. Give it a vacuum, clean it up, do a pre-trip inspection, make sure you have plenty of fuel for your driver's test. You don't want to run out of fuel on your driver's test. That could be embarrassing to say the least. So do all that, and we're going to talk about that. And I was talking about previously, students don't know what's on their driver's test. And we had this question this morning about smart drivers are convinced that at one test center, it's going to be easier than at a different test center. That's not true. Okay. And if you fail your driver's test at one test center and you go and take it at a different test center and you're like, oh, it was so easy and the examiner was so nice. Had you gone back to the first test center, it's unlikely that you're going to have the same examiner again. They're always going to give you a different examiner on your second try for your driver's test. Know that. The reason for that is they want to be objective and they want to help you out as much as possible. The other piece about it is every time you take a driver's test, you could take 10 different driving tests at one driving test center. Every test will be different, because the traffic will be different at every time. So the first time you took your test and you weren't successful at one test center, it may have just been that the traffic was stupid that day for whatever reason. Exactly what Marion said, that she got stuck behind fire trucks this morning. That could happen on your driver's test. You have to deal with it, because your job on a driving test is to demonstrate to the examiner that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. Jamil, what happens if the brake light has tape on it because it's slightly broken, but it still shows light? For test, do I need to repair it? Jamil, I would counsel you to fix the taillight. I wouldn't have tape on my lights. That is in keeping with first impressions. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression, because if I am the driving examiner, for example, and I come out to your car and I see that there's tape on the brake light, I'm thinking in my head, okay, what else is wrong with this vehicle that they've jury rigged? Because essentially that's what it is, jury rigged. There's a good term for you where you just kind of MacGyver it together. You kind of patch it back together. So yes, I would get that fixed. And then that does not give the examiner any cause to say, I'm a little bit uncertain about this vehicle. So yes, I would recommend that you do that. Okay. No, they don't, Jamel. They don't do parallel parking in California. They make you reverse along a curb for approximately 50 feet there in the state of California is what they make you do. Marion, I have a question. If there is construction zone on one side of the road, is the 30-kilometer-hour speed limit for both sides or just the side where the construction is? Marion, it's usually, in my experience, it's just for the side where the construction is. It's not on both sides of the roadway. Carrie O is here from Minnesota. Hello, my friend. Jonas, passed my driver's test today. Thank you to all your videos. Thank you for everything you do. You are most welcome, my friend. So happy we can help out. And congratulations on passing your driver's test. That is awesome. Awesome, my friend. Elevator fan, if you make a critical error, that is an automatic fail on driver's test. Yes, and critical errors. And exactly what Elevator fan said there. There are two ways that you could potentially fail a driver's test. One is that you are assigned too many demerit points, because when you make an error, you are assigned 5 to 10 points for minor errors, and you're assigned 10 to 20 points for major errors. And most tests are allowed 35 points. Once you accumulate 35 points, unfortunately, you have failed the driver's test. So that is the first way you can fail the driver's test, and that is the way that 90% of people fail their driver's test. The other way you can fail the driver's test is outright. It's an automatic fail. The driving examiner intervenes in your driving, takes control of the steering wheel, puts the transmission into neutral, tells you have to stop, those types of things. Not stopping for emergency vehicles, proceeding through an intersection that you can't clear, straight through, not on a left turn, the light turns yellow and then to red, and you are sitting in the intersection, that is an automatic fail. These are some of the ways that you can fail your driver's test. And Corey's put up the top 10 automatic fails. So 2 ways you can potentially fail your driver's test. You get too many demerit points or automatic fail. Another way to fail automatically is striking a fixed object. Often this will happen when students are backing into the parking space and there is a concrete barrier or a fence behind the parking space, and they will strike that concrete barrier or the fence. Or the other way is they will strike a pylon on the Ohio maneuverability test there in the Buckeye, or during parallel parking, they will strike one of the pylons and knock them over. This is what happens and causes them to fail. Emmy, I'm still not ready to learn how to drive. I feel like instructors wouldn't understand students with ADHD and anxiety issues. Emmy, that is not true. We do help students with ADHD and we do help students with anxiety. And what I would suggest you is to find a driving school, be upfront with them that you have ADHD and you have anxiety around driving, and they will be able to help you with that. Request an instructor that works with seniors. We work with these people all the time. My daughter, for example, has ADHD and anxiety. But you can learn how to drive, okay? You just got to say to yourself, I can do this. The 4 most powerful words in the English language. I can do this, okay? So you can do it. Eric, what is the average speed when near a work zone? Is the speed limit all the time or only if workers are present? Eric, if it's only when workers are present, there will be signs indicating to that fact. Otherwise, the signs are there for, the whole time. I got pulled over in Kentucky one time some years ago. This is an interesting story when you're driving truck. Because you go all the way through Ohio on the interstate at 55 miles per hour, 4.5 hours. It's 213 miles from Toledo, Ohio to Cincinnati. And then you get across the river, go up the hill, and you get into Kentucky, and it's 65 miles an hour. Well, I've been driving for 4.5 hours. I was listening to an audiobook. I was into it. It was a really good audiobook. And I get up over the top and into a construction zone, and I'm doing 65 miles an hour. And I'm like, woohoo, we're going now. We are making miles, and was in a construction zone and got pulled over. And it was the middle of the night, at well after midnight. And, the construction speed zones were still in effect, even though it was the middle of the night and there weren't any workers present. Because had there been workers present, I would have slowed down. But that's still no excuse for me not slowing down, and thus I got a speeding ticket. So know that unless signs say otherwise, speed limit's in effect when workers present. Then if those signs are not present, then it's all the time when the construction zone is in place. All right. Emmy, I'm 26. I passed the age where people get their driver's license. Emmy, that is not true, my friend. That is not true. You are not too old to get a driver's license. Marion is a perfect example of that. She is much older, and she recently got her driver's license, and she lives in a very large urban center. So there you go. You can get your driver's license. Jamil, is turning on a red light allowed in California? Yes, it is, as far as I know, Jamil. Corey will put up the video for you on turning right on a red light. So have a look at that and do that. Okay, but you need to come to a complete stop first at the correct stopping position, give way to all of the road users, and then proceed. And Corey's put up the Smarter Driver course package. Check that out over at the Smart Drive Test website. Epic. Speeding is an instant fail on the road test, and it's #1 cause of death for teen drivers nationwide, because I was watching a segment of CBS about pandemic online driver's ed and road tests. Speeding is not, it depends, okay? Speeding is one of those very subjective things, and it's very hard for me to say that, oh my God, you're going to fail your driver's test if you speed. If you speed consistently on a driver's test, yes, you will fail, okay? If you are not adjusting your speed every 10 to 20 seconds, as I said, your speed control is tied into your scanning pattern, your forward scanning pattern. So you're looking far down the road, checking your instrument panel, far down the road, checking your center mirror, far down the road, side mirror, down the road, other side mirror, okay? And that is repeating every 10 to 12 seconds. And so if you're adjusting your speed every 10 to 12 seconds, you're not going to fail your driver's test. Now, if you're driving 5 miles an hour over the speed limit consistently, then yes, you're going to fail your driver's test because you're not obeying the speed limit. So for the purposes of a driver's test, posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. That's how fast you need to be driving. Now, there are many other things that you need to pay attention while you're driving. And with a little bit of experience, especially in newer vehicles that are automatic transmissions, it's really easy to keep a constant speed. Where drivers get into trouble is they make a turn, say, for example, off a minor road out onto a major road, and they dawdle. They just kind of, they don't get going. Right? They don't get it up to speed. So get it up to speed, get it up to the posted speed limit as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mary. And I got through the presentation without anything going wrong. I actually had the entire live stream this morning drop out on me. It just and I had to restart my broadcasting software. So I was down for about 30 or 40 seconds. Yeah. So the show must go on. Hello, Mallory. How are you, my friend? You're here for the morning and the afternoon live stream. So it's nice to see you again, my friend from the Maritimes there. Epic. By the way, Nevada is one of those states that don't do parallel parking. They took it out 4 years ago for some test sites. They have the cones somewhere off-site in Randolph, New Jersey, end of Aspen Drive. Okay, so they'll sometimes have them in other places. And this is exactly, Epic just pointed out that, that they have the cones set up somewhere else. It's the same thing with here where I live in Vernon, British Columbia. The office is in one place and the parking lot for the office is actually a block away where you could show up to do your driver's test and park and wait for the examiner to come out. So it's in a different location. Nevada. Now, if they're not doing parallel parking in Nevada, Epic, what are they doing instead of parallel parking? Because they don't just take the parallel parking out, they do something else in place of the parallel parking. For example, California does backing up along a curb for 50 feet. Ohio does the maneuverability test, and Maryland does the reverse two-point turn, the two-point reverse turn. So what did they put in place as opposed to parallel parking? Marion, by the way, you were right about having goofy drivers on the road right now. I think the heat has melted people's brains. Yes, it definitely has, especially if their air conditioning isn't working. Because right now here in the interior of British Columbia, it is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. 100 degrees. It's 38 degrees Celsius right here where I live right now. So it is one of the few times in my life that I am happy that I have central air, and I also live very near to the beach, so I can go down and go for a swim. Jamil, I have been driving for an hour every day for about 6 months. How do I know if I'm ready for my test? Jamil, what I would suggest to you to be absolutely sure that you're ready for your test, take an hour, book an hour with a driving instructor, with a school, and get them to take you out for a practice driving test. They will take you on the test route where you're going to be taking your test, and they will show you where they do the slow speed maneuvers. For you in California, they'll show you where they back up along the curb. And as well, they will give you feedback on the skills and techniques that you need to improve to be ready and pass your driver's test first time. That is just the best thing that you could do, especially if you haven't been doing driver training. Hire a driving instructor, go out for an hour, do a practice driving test, and that way you'll know what you need to do to be absolutely ready for your driver's test. Let's talk about the driver's test on the day of the driver's test and see what is going to happen. So you need to show up 20 to 30 minutes before your scheduled time. Most places are going to have offices. Now, New York State, New York City, California, they may have an online system that you actually have to go in and check in, okay? Online. Now, if you have an office, you show up at the office, there will be reserved parking for those taking driver's tests. You'll park in the reserved parking. I counsel you to back in. Do not drive into the parking space. Go in, register. Okay, you'll need driver's license, prescription glasses. If you wear prescription glasses, you'll need money and another piece of identification. And now it's summertime. If you wear sunglasses and you need sunglasses, then wear sunglasses for your driver's test. I cannot drive in this weather without sunglasses. It's just way too hard on my eyes, okay? So go in, sign up. They'll tell you to go and wait in your car. Make sure that you bring a picture of your driver's license plate as well, the vehicle's license plate, because they will ask you for that so the examiner can come out and find you. So then you register, you wait, you got a few minutes. Just hang around your vehicle. Don't go too far. Don't walk off and those types of things. You know, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then when the driving examiner comes out, he or she will do a pre-trip inspection on your vehicle, okay? They'll check the signals on the front. They'll make sure the license plate is attached and affixed. There's nothing wrong with the vehicle, no apparent damage, no tape on the lights and those types of things. They'll get you to do the brake lights, left turn signal, right turn signal on the rear. They'll get you to honk the horn. If it's raining, they'll get you to turn on the windshield wipers. At minimum, be ready at the test center. Know how to turn on the air conditioning different times of the year. Know how to turn on the defrost. Windshield wipers, work and squirt. Make sure you know how to turn on the washer fluid. Headlights, high beams, low beams. At minimum, know those three secondary controls on the vehicle. They'll get in the vehicle. They'll tell you what's expected of them. They'll give you directions. They may or may not ask you about the registration on the vehicle, okay, that it is up to date, but you have to have a registration and insurance, so that's part of your pre-trip inspection. Make sure that you do that and check that, because you will not be allowed to go out on your driver's test if your registration and your insurance is not up to date on your vehicle, all right? Then they'll take you out for a driver's test. You will not fail your driver's test for missing an instruction. For example, if the driving examiner said at the intersection, turn right, okay, and you didn't hear them, or you were kerfuddled or whatever happened and you drove straight through the intersection, that's not a fail. Okay, if you do it 5 or 6 times on a driver's test, then yeah, you're going to fail. But if you do it once, it's up to the driving examiner to get you back on course and get you back to the test center. All right. So they'll give you lots of notice. They'll use clear language. If they've been doing this for more than a week, they know the importance of pointing in the direction they want you to turn, giving you clear instruction, telling you when to turn and those types of things. So know that. And, you know, most driving examiners are doing an awesome job. 98% of them are doing an awesome job. It's every now and again you're going to get a crusty driving examiner, but for the most part, they're doing a really good job. Mary and I stumbled with hand signals, and yes, as Marion just said, that is another thing they might ask you to do on your driver's test to show you, show how to do that. Hand signals are pretty simple, right? Right, straight out is to the left, and then down is brake or slow, okay? And the reason they're asking you about hand signals on a driver's test is because cyclists, kids on e-scooters, those types of things may or may not use hand signals. You need to know what hand signals mean. It's not that, your car broke down and your lights aren't working and those types of things. So they're asking if you know hand signals, because you need to know what other road users are doing, because remember, you're sharing the roadway with other people on the roadway. Jamil, do I park the car in little runway, or is there specific parking spaces like DMV parking test only signs? Yes, there are. Jamil, there's reserved parking for people taking tests at the test center where you're going to be taking your test. So look for that area and park in that area when you go down for your driver's test. Rathana, I will message my driving teacher this week, so hopefully for next week can practice the whole week. Awesome. No, it's not too early for that. It's never too early for learning how to drive. Can I just print the sheet and let my father be the driving instructor? Jamil, no. You want a totally objective person who knows what you're looking for, because a driving test is not driving. Okay? It's not driving. It's different. Okay? They're expecting certain skills and abilities in place for you to be able to pass the driving test. And now, think of it this way. Okay, it's $150 to hire a driving instructor to take you out for an hour. You fail your driver's test because you didn't do it, because you didn't want to spend the $150. Now, you got to do it again, and now you're feeling like crap because you failed your driver's test. So now you're doubting yourself. So now you go and hire a driving instructor because you want to be sure you don't fail it again after the second time. So now you spend another $150, and then you got to go take the test again. I don't know what the cost is in California, but here it's $25 or $30 to take the test. So now you're into it for $200 or $300. Whereas you could have just spent the $150 off the hop, take the test first time and pass first time and be done with it. Okay? I cannot counsel you any better. Take a practice driving test with a driving instructor. Just practice, okay? Because your dad is not a driving instructor. Your dad is not a driving examiner. We as driving instructors, professional driving instructors, and I am not advocating for driving instructors or getting them to getting you to pass your driver's test. I'm not trying to get more money to driving instructors. Okay. What I'm trying to say to you is that your dad will not know if your vehicle comes to a complete stop at a stop sign intersection. Your dad will not know the difference between two-way stop signs and four-way stop signs. Your dad will not know a place to go to get you to back up 50 feet along a curb. Okay. And the myriad, the many, many, many other things that potentially could cause you to fail or lose points on a driver's test. So I would strongly encourage you to hire a driving instructor, get them to take you out and do a practice driving test, because as I said, we driving instructors, we teach people how to pass a driver's test every day. And years ago, I was working for the licensing department here in British Columbia where I live, and they sent me down to the test center out on a road test. And we were in the car, and it was a motorcycle test. So the driving examiner was in the passenger seat and there was somebody else driving. And the driving examiner kept looking back at me, being really nice and filling me in on what they were doing. Oh, and we're looking for this and we're looking for that, and they need to do this and they need to do more shoulder checks and this and that and whatnot. And every time that she looked back and she looked at me and it said something to me, I was like, yeah, I know. I didn't say that to her, but that's what I was thinking in my head. I was acknowledging what she was saying and talking to me and whatnot, but I kept thinking to myself, yeah, I know. I know that. I know that. Of course, that's what you're looking for, because I'm a driving instructor and my job to teach students is to get them to a level of driving where they're going to pass with driving examiners. It's what driving instructors do every day. They teach students how to pass the driver's test with any number of driving instructors. So we need to get you at a level where that's going to happen. Status, by the way, isn't the learner supposed to not talk while concentrating on learning to drive like years ago, particularly in Ontario? The learner not supposed to talk. Are you talking about status? Are you talking about on a driver's test, when they're taking a driver's test, or when they're learning how to drive? Just clarify that for me. Obtained my Ontario G2 license on my birthday on the 18th of April. Congratulations. Marion, I always thought the down position was for turning right. Okay, it's not. No, it's not. All right. How to use hand signals. Corey's put that video up for you, so have a look at that. And Elevator Fan is back. So show up 20 to 30 minutes before your driver's test. You're gonna go in. You're gonna register. License. Bring your license. Another piece of identification. Money. Prescription glasses. Sunglasses if you need them to drive. Have your stuff with you, and have a good breakfast. Clean yourself up. Wear nice clothes that aren't ripped and those types of things. Status on a driver's test or learning to drive when you're with a driving instructor. Because yes, when you're on a driving test, yes, don't talk to the driving examiner. Okay. Halfway through the test, if the driving examiner starts to talk to you, then yes, you can have a conversation with them, because at that point they're comfortable. You're doing what you need to do in terms of driving and whatnot. But for the most part, if you're not comfortable having a conversation, you're concentrating on what you're doing and you're driving, then, don't have a conversation. That's totally fine. Okay. The other piece about it, you can have a running dialogue while you're driving, a running commentary. And Corey's already put that up. He's doing an awesome job today. He's already got the videos up. So you can have a running commentary of what you're doing. Stopping behind the stop line. There's a pedestrian on this corner here. I'm watching the pedestrian, making sure they're not coming out in front of me. I got my signal on. I'm preparing to turn right. I've nosed into the corner. Those types of things. If you have a running monologue, that's okay. And I strongly encourage you, when you're learning how to drive, and even on your driver's test, do that running monologue, because we as driving instructors, driving examiners, we like when students are doing a running monologue, because we don't have to think, we don't have to guess what you're thinking. We know what you're thinking because you're telling us what you're thinking, what you're doing. I'm coming up to a two-way stop sign. I'm going to stop behind the stop line. There's a pedestrian on the far corner. I'm watching that pedestrian. I'm going to proceed straight through the intersection. The car has come to a complete stop. I'm moving up so that I can see the cross traffic. The cross traffic is clear, and we proceed. The pedestrian is staying in place. These are the types of things that you want to be saying as you're moving through an intersection in a suburban area. That way we don't have to second guess what you're doing, what you're thinking, okay? Is using hand signals automatic fail on a driver's test? Elevator Fan, if you're using hand signals while you're driving a car, yes. If you're driving a motorcycle, if you're taking a motorcycle driver's test, no, it's not. It's not going to be an automatic fail. The examiner might say, hey, what are you doing? Because you're in a car, you can't use your hand signals. You have to use the signals on the car because they have to work. If the signals aren't working on the car, then, they're not going to take you out because the vehicle is not safe to be driven on public roadways. Motorcycles, they may ask you to do hand signals. They want you to know hand signals because, as I said previously, cyclists, kids on e-scooters, some motorcycles may use hand signals. If it's really old, somebody has like a 1947 Harley Davidson motorcycle, then they may ask you to do hand signals. But while you're driving your car, you cannot use hand signals, on the driver's test. So practice, practice, practice. The 4 skills that you need to be successful on your driver's test: space management, speed management, observation, and communication. You need to have those 4 skills in place to be successful on your driver's test. Space management, 2 to 3 second following distance, stopping back in traffic 1 vehicle length from the vehicle in front of you. And the way that you know you're 1 vehicle length is because you can see the tires in front making clear contact with the pavement. And 3 feet, 1 meter minimum from vulnerable road users. And if you're in Germany, I had this conversation with Klaus a couple of weeks ago. It's 1.5 meters, which is approximately 5 feet, which I don't know where on some streets in Europe you're not going to be able to get 5 feet, because I've been on those streets and it's parallel parking on both sides of the road and it is super tight. There's just, enough room for the 1 car. So obviously you have to stay behind the cyclist, but you need enough room between your vehicle and vulnerable road users. And there was a post on Twitter just today about the fact that they were trying to change the language so that we're not calling cyclists, pedestrians, and motorcycle riders vulnerable road users anymore. We're now calling car drivers dangerous drivers. Is it dangerous drivers or dangerous vehicles? It was either that, one or the other. And I was like, yeah, that's never going to fly. We're never going to call them dangerous vehicles. It's just a matter of physics. They're bigger, as opposed to somebody riding a bicycle or somebody riding a motorcycle. And, maybe I'm just getting old, but I see people on motorcycles, just screaming down the road. And I just think to myself, yeah, you have basically strapped an engine to your bum and you are going 60 miles an hour and there is nothing, absolutely nothing to protect you. And, it's just one of those things that happen, right? And motorcycle riders, this is what I was going to say, is motorcycle riders are 35 times more likely to die in a car crash. Jamil, driving instructors cost $400. Okay, Jamil, where did you get that information? Because that seems awfully expensive. Are you looking at a course package for like 5 lessons with a driving instructor? Or is that the other thing that I'm asking myself in terms of $400 is that because some driving schools will not just take you up for a practice test. You need to do a practice test and you need to book their car to go for the driving test. So have a look at what is included in that $400, because that is really expensive for a 1 hour, a 90-minute lesson. That's a little bit off the top. Even for California, that's a bit expensive. He's in California, Marion. So yeah, $400. No, that's even in this day and age of inflation and crazy prices, that seems ridiculous for a 1 hour driving lesson. 1 hour is $300. Jamil, can you send me that, Rick at Smart Drive Test, can you send me that notice about what the driving school is? Because I'd be interested to look at that, because that is ridiculous. 1 hour for $300 with a driving school. I'm in the wrong business if it's $300 an hour. I'll hire I'm going to go out and buy a fleet of cars and put some driving instructors in it. Yeah, see, Marion, that's what I said. That is crazy. Mine costs $85 for 1 lesson. So yeah, $300. That's exorbitant. That is absolutely exorbitant. That's crazy talk. Yeah. So yeah, no, I probably wouldn't pay that either. So Jamil, if you can send that to me, that I'd be interested to have a look at that for sure. All right. So space management, speed management, observation, communication. So 2 to 3 second following distance, stopping in traffic 1 vehicle length back from the vehicle in front. Your landmark for that is being able to see the tires of the vehicle making clear contact with the pavement. 3 feet, 1 meter minimum distance from you and other vulnerable road users, stopping at correct stopping positions at not stop sign and other controlled intersections. So behind the stop line, behind the sidewalk or crosswalk. If those two conditions don't exist, then at the edge of the intersection just before entering the intersection. And many people have been given the misinformation that when you come up to a stop line and you stop, you have to stop back so you can see the stop line. That is wrong. That's incorrect. Okay, as you come up and you start to slow down, just as the stop line rolls under the front of the car out of sight, that's when you bring the vehicle to a stop. If you do that on a street where there isn't any traffic and you stop and you get out, you will actually see that you're about 3 feet behind the stop line. And that is the perfect place where you need to stop for the purposes of your driver's test, okay? So know that. Speed management, posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less, that's the speed limit. Observation, you need to have a forward scanning pattern in place. Shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Observation, forward scanning pattern, far down the road, center mirror, far down the road, instrument panel, far down the road, side mirror, far down the road, other side mirror. That's your forward scanning pattern that you need to repeat every 15 to 20 seconds. Shoulder checking every time you're turning, changing directions of the vehicle. Shoulder checking, you need to move your head to look when you're driving because our eyes do not move enough in our skull to observe correctly. So you need to move your head on a swivel. Sometimes you will have to move your body forward and back to see past the A pillar, which is going to create a blind spot. And the other day I was driving a pickup truck, my mate's pickup truck, and the B pillar, which is the post behind the door, actually created a blind spot when I was shoulder checking. I was like, wow, that's a big blind area. So get to know your vehicle, know where the blind areas are around your vehicle. Observation, backing up, you have to look out through the back window. You can use your mirrors, you can use a backup camera, but you have to look out through the back window. And I know that some big pickup trucks, some cars, you can't really see much out through the back window. And especially for those of you in the Buckeye, doing the Ohio maneuverability test when you're backing up, you're going to have to use your mirrors to be able to complete that successfully. But fake it till you make it. You can look at your backup camera, you can look at your mirrors, but you have to look out through the back window when you're reversing. Finally, communication. You have to communicate effectively with other traffic on the roadway. The number one way that we communicate intent on the roadway is position of the vehicle on the roadway. So if the vehicle is in the left turning lane, there's a high probability that vehicle is going to turn left. If a pedestrian is at the crosswalk, there's a high probability that pedestrian is going to cross the roadway. As well, slowing down in relation to a entrance to a service way, a mall or something like that, or an intersection. So if a car is coming up and they're drifting right a little bit and they're slowing down as they're coming up to the intersection, but they don't put their signal on, there's a high probability that they're going to turn right at the intersection. Second way we communicate, lights and signals. Third way, eye contact. If you're not sure what a cyclist is doing or a pedestrian, get eye contact and then use your hand gestures to, tell them to stay or to go. Use all 5 fingers. Don't tell them they're number 1, especially on a driver's test. And then lastly, using your horn. Use your horn sparingly because in North America, it's seen as a sign of aggression. Jamil, I don't think anyone at my area uses a driving instructor. Crazy prices in Los Angeles. Yeah, if it's that much, Jamil, I can totally see why people would not use a driving instructor. That's crazy. When I was counseling you to take a driving lesson, I was thinking like $100, $150. I wasn't thinking $400. That's just absolutely crazy. Maybe California is the place to come and open a driving school because that's crazy, crazy expensive. Mallory says it's hot in the Maritimes there today. How hot is it in the Maritimes? Mallory, is it in the 30s there? Because it is hot here in the interior. And the thing that we don't like about it being hot here in the interior, it's a little bit like Northern California. We know with this 100-degree weather, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, when it's in the high 30s, we know that within a couple of weeks, the forest fires will start. And that's the reason that we don't like the heat. I love the heat, but I don't like the forest fires that come with it. And the other piece is, as I said, I'm driving across the United States from west to east, Washington State, all the way across to Ohio, and that's where I'm meeting up with Elevator Fan there in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in August. And, It's just been something that I do for the last 10 years that I've lived here in British Columbia. I just leave in August because it's forest fire season in August. So, that's what happens. Paul, also, Rick, waiting for my examiner to take me on the road tests. For the test in the parking lot, a female driver came in and another car was reversing out, nearly caused a collision right in front of me. Yes, that sometimes happens. It can be very interesting sitting in the test center parking lot and watching what other people are doing because some students be crazy. They be crazy. And the driving instructor has not done the job or the time has run out, whatever happens. But there are people in there. I've spent a lot of time at test centers in London, Ontario, Canada, Victoria, here in British Columbia, in Australia. And, people in the parking lot, they be crazy. They be crazy. How did that driver manage to pass the test despite a near incident? Yeah, sometimes it's how they handle it, right? Or the examiner didn't see it. And there's the other tip strategy for taking your driver's test. If you make a mistake, keep going because the examiner may not even have seen the mistake because, they're writing notes or they're thinking about something else or, trying to remember what they were supposed to get at the grocery store for their spouse on the way home after work. They may not even have seen the mistake that you thought you made. So if you make a mistake, take a breath and keep going. Okay. Don't get stuck in that mistake. And the other piece about your driving test, start strong, finish strong. All right. You backed into the parking space when you showed up at the test center. You drive out, signal. If the examiner tells you to go left or right, if they tell you to go right, signal to the right and then drive out and just, go slow. 20 kilometers an hour, 12 miles an hour in parking lots. Go nice and slow. Observe well. Mallory, while you're driving, do you want to look at where your vehicle is going at all times? Yes, you want to look down the road as far as you can see to interpret traffic patterns and understand the actions of individual road users as you're driving in a forward motion. Checking your mirrors, figuring out who's behind you, what's around you, having a 360-degree awareness around your vehicle. Now, the other piece, as I talked about, for the purposes of the driver's test, you can use a backup camera, proximity sensors, blind spot detectors, but they are a backup only. Do not rely on these solely. And, I had somebody admit to me today that I just use my backup camera when I'm backing up. Okay. Backup cameras are limited. They're great tools, but it's just a tool and does not replace good driving skills. And, my mom was here and she was talking about friends of hers who have these new cars with all this fancy observation technology in them, and they still manage to run into things. The neighbor, for example, he's one of these truck guys, right? I'm the only person that drives my truck. Nobody else drives my truck because you're not worthy. Oh, my truck. Oh, the truck. Oh, worthy truck. I am not worthy of truck. One of those guys, right? He's the only person that drives it. And my mom and the neighbor, their laneways are right beside each other. So the houses are here and the laneway is here and the laneway is here. And my cousin was at my mom's place with the car parked at the end of the driveway, and he comes up, backs into the driveway, and backs into my cousin's car. Despite backup cameras, proximity sensors, the ding, 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 when he's backing up in the driveway, they still managed to back into the other car. Observation technology is not a substitute for good observation, good driving skills. And my friend Big Mac Sam is here. How are you, my friend? There you go. Thank you for that. Exactly what Sam just said. That is so true about examiners not catching your mistakes. So don't get sucked into that mistake. And the other piece I was going to say about that, start strong, finish strong. Okay. I've had a number of smart drivers over the years who've come back to me and said, I failed my driver's test when I was going back into the test center. That just sucks. Because that's the last 2 or 3 minutes of your test, okay? So, the beginning of the test, focus, super focus. The end of your test, as you're going back to the DMV where you started your test, finish strong, okay? Finish strong. Focus on what you're doing. Don't fail because of the last 2 or 3 minutes when you've got it in the bag and you're like, oh yeah, I got it in the bag now. Woo doo 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 doo. One-handed driving, your foot out the window because it's hot, the air conditioning's not working in your car. Don't do that. You know, you're having a conversation with the driving examiner, they're joking and laughing and those types of things. The last 2 or 3 minutes, finish strong. Stop talking, focus on what you're doing, and get back into the test center and get your driver's license, okay? Don't mess it up in the last 2 or 3 minutes, all right? It's kind of like that meme of the guy in the bicycle race, right? Where he's like 100 meters from the finish line and he's celebrating. He's like, woo, I won the race, man. Look at me. I'm so cool. And, you know, the guy in second place just goes whizzing past him. Yes. Start strong, finish strong. Exactly what Big Mac's saying. I'm great. Start strong, finish strong. Don't give up. Absolutely. That's how you're going to pass your driver's test. Quarterly, it definitely isn't cheap, but doing a quick look around on Google, it seems many schools in LA offer 2 hours of instruction for $175 to $185. There you go. Thank you for doing that look around there, Corey. That's awesome. Mallory, I mean, some places saw a temperature of 30 degrees here yesterday in the Maritimes. Mallory, it's only 30. That's balmy. That's just like pleasant. Do you have high humidity in the Maritimes, Mallory? We have high humidity in Ontario, where I'm going to visit my mom in August. And, you know, I'm from Ontario, so I go home and I just like sit there in t-shirts and a jean for like the first 3 days, and the sweat just like pours off me. And I'm like, finally, it's hot. Now, I can't say that it's not hot here now that we have 100 degrees Fahrenheit weather. It's toasty. Like, you go outside and it's like sticking your head in an oven. It is toasty. It's very toasty. K-Rob, is it necessary to check rearview mirrors when switching lanes or just side mirrors? Oh, K-Rob, Corey needs to put up the video for you on mirror signal shoulder check, because you got a shoulder check and you got to check your mirrors. Mirror signal shoulder check, okay? If you don't have that in your repertoire already, mirror signal shoulder check, mirror signal shoulder check, mirror signal shoulder check. Whichever way you're moving the vehicle, if you're moving it to the left, mirror signal shoulder check to the left. If you're moving it to the right, mirror signal shoulder check to the left. Marion, thank you. Excellent. Yes, mirror signal shoulder check, okay? And it doesn't matter what sequence they're in, okay? It doesn't matter if you look in the mirror, the signal, you can do it all at the same time, okay? As you're putting the signal on, you can be checking the mirror and looking, shoulder checking, mirror signal shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Not shoulder checking is the #1 reason that students fail driver's tests, okay? So shoulder check, 90 degrees in the direction that you're going to be moving the vehicle. Move your head, okay? Your eyes do not move enough in your skull to be able to observe correctly when you're driving. So shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. And Corey's put up that video. Thank you for that, Corey. Paul, thanks, Rick. I hear you while waiting 45 minutes. I actually be on the VIA train from Toronto to Vancouver, then taking a BC ferries to Salt Spring to spend Christmas with my cousin. Paul, you're going to visit the granolas. That's what we call them. They're like vegan celiacs, and they all live on Salt Spring Island. I'm sorry. I've been to Salt Spring a few times. I hear banjos. Ooh, banjos. Yes, Salt Spring. I love Salt Spring. I've camped there a few times. It's awesome. When we lived in Sydney, we used to take the ferry across the Salt Spring Island. I had a friend who lived in Montreal, and she was dating my best friend, whose wedding I'm going to this summer. I'm also going to Montreal to a wedding to Byrne Sr. My son's name is Byrne, Byrne Jr., Senior Jr. So we're going to Montreal, and her sister lived on Salt Spring Island in a trailer, like on a commune kind of thing. And we went there and we had dinner with them one night, and she was a vegan celiac. Like, what do you order? Was a vegan celiac? I mean, like, I'll have a head of lettuce, please. It's challenging to eat out when you're a vegan celiac. World Changer, nice. My daughter lives on Salt Spring Island. It's so lovely there. Yes, it is, Marion. It's very lovely. I'm not denying that at all. It is a lovely place and a great place to visit, but I am not certain that I would want to live there. Great place. All right. I am not knocking Salt Spring. I love Salt Spring Island. I loved camping there. It was really great. It was the one place we were camping there that my son was on my shoulders, and I dropped him off my shoulders when he was like, I don't know, 18 months or something, of course. But he was okay. Didn't drop him on his head. So there we go. Okay, so there's all your stuff about passing a driver's test, being successful, getting the information, the skills and techniques in place to be successful. We'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much for all your questions. Great live stream, great questions, great participation. You passed the driver's test in the last couple of weeks or even more than that. Awesome. Congratulations. That is really great news. You have any comments, leave a comment down in the comment section there. Hit that thumbs up button. Check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Course Package over at the Smart Drive Test website. And if you have a driver's test coming up in the next week or so, good luck on that. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.